All right, we are recording. So, welcome back to Super Wall Jump, a video games podcast where I talk to content creators and video game developers and everything in between. With me today, I have...
I'm Zach Runyan, and I am the Able Player 1 Program Manager at the AbleGamers charity.
Fantastic, Zach. Thanks so much for coming on. What is AbleGamers?
AbleGamers is a charity that focuses on getting adaptive equipment to players with disabilities to help combat social isolation. We've been around since 2004. Started off with a really small team. We're still kind of a small team now. But my program, Able Player 1, focuses on getting equipment to players who need it, who can't use a standard controller. And then we also offer our APX training courses 6 times a year with the wonderful Stephen Whites, who teaches game developers how to make their games more accessible in the settings of their games. And then our new big initiative for this year is our adaptive esports that we're pushing into. We're actually having a tournament on the 7th of March. It will be streamed on our Twitch channel. So stay tuned for that too.
Sounds like lots of fun. What spawned the idea to do that?
It's actually kind of funny. Our executive director, Jordan Coe, he lives out in LA, and he has been in the disability rights space for 20 plus years. Sorry if I got that wrong, Jordan. But he has a friend named Candace Cable, who is a 9-time Paralympic medalist and competitor in the Paralympics. She came to San Diego Comic-Con with us and helped us run our booth. And I was just kind of showing her some of the equipment and how it works. And she looks at me and she's like, "Why isn't this in the Paralympics?" And I was like, "Good question. I don't know." So from there, it's kind of just been our next mission is to make esports, adaptive esports, more of a thing, and to hopefully make it a medaled event in the Paralympics in the next 4 to 8 years.
That would be awesome. And that's honestly a whole other conversation that we could go into. Yeah. And we might have time for it. I don't know.
Okay.
But why is accessibility important?
Accessibility is important for a ton of different reasons. Steve, who I was just talking about, Stephen Whites, who runs our APX course, always says that if you make things more accessible, you make them easier for everybody and not just people with disabilities, which is true in a lot of different cases. Accessibility is important, especially in gaming, because a lot of the folks we work with probably aren't able to leave their house as often, or maybe don't have the opportunity to leave their house as often as they would like to. So with gaming, you can hop in, you can be whoever you want to be. You don't have to disclose that you have a disability. You can obviously chat with people, make new friends, build communities. Quite a few of the players that I've worked with in the last 2.5 years have their own Discord channel, have their own Twitch streaming channel, or some kind of streaming page. And they have a community, whether it's small or large. And I just think that's really great. Everybody needs somebody that they can talk to, rely on, and just have their back, you know?
Yeah, and if you aren't able to access these spaces, like, for example, if you are missing an arm or something, it's harder to engage in those spaces. It's hard to play Call of Duty when most controllers are, built for people with 2 hands. Yep.
Yes. Yeah, no, exactly. And that's kind of what we do on my end with Able Player 1 is we'll meet with players individually, kind of figure out how their body works, what their gaming goals are. Do you want to be competitive? Do you want to just take your time and play like cozy games? Do you want to play with somebody else? What parts of your body move the best? Are you playing on PC? Are you playing on a console? And then my team and I are able to determine what might work best for them. Sometimes it's a little back and forth after we've already sent them some stuff. But what really kind of eliminates that back and forth is we have roughly 25 partner facilities throughout the United States. with rehab facilities, different OTs from all over the country, children's hospitals, things of that nature. And the OTs and rec therapists and whoever else is on board with their team over there, they understand how the body works. They just might not understand the gaming when they first start, but a lot of them are keen to learn and keen to start gaming themselves after they start learning about the adaptive equipment. So they're able to bring these people in, have them try out some equipment at their facility, and then reach out to us and be like, hey, we tried this, it worked really well. Or hey, we tried this, it didn't work at all. Do you have any other ideas? So that kind of, I don't want to say streamlines the process, but definitely makes it quicker. And also it's just a great way for us to connect with people from all over the country. When we go to, I know you haven't asked a question in a while, and I'm kind of just talking out the ear right here.
God forbid that I have an interview guest that has a lot to say. This is no one's ever wanted this.
I was just gonna say, when we go to convention, especially like PAX East or PAX West in Seattle and Boston, where we have partner facilities, it gives me a chance to actually go in person and meet with these people too, and just make sure they're doing okay, introduce myself, let them know that I'm more than just a person on a computer screen, which for me has been really great. I love that face-to-face interaction, which working from home and covering the whole United States doesn't happen all the time.
It does not.
When it does, it's really great. So
you brought up something that I wanted to get into a little bit more. So if, say, two people have the same disability, but they have different tastes in games, do you design, like, separate controllers for each?
So I always like to say there's not a specific setup for a certain disability or condition. Everybody is going to have a different way they want to play, and with them being at home, it's all about what they're comfortable with. So for example, a large majority of the folks I work with who have cerebral palsy will usually just have a large layout button spread in front of them so that they can reach out and hit these buttons, especially if they have wider movements. But the great thing about some of this equipment that we're working with is we can almost get, with converters these days from Mayflash and Brook Wingman, we can almost get any controller to work on any console. And I say almost because there's a few that, you know, are kind of tricky when it comes to that. But the Xbox Adaptive Controller will work on PC, PS4, PS5, any Xbox console. And you can actually get it to work on the Switch and Switch 2 as well. So when things are like that, it makes it a lot easier. Some controllers only work with specific things, which is fine. But having, like I said, the Mayflash and the Brook Wingman converters makes it a lot easier to kind of use that piece of equipment for multiple consoles.
So what are those converters?
The Brook Wingman converter, there is like 5 or 6 different types right now, I think. They're constantly upgrading them. So I believe the newest one for like getting the quad stick and the Xbox Adaptive Controller to work with the PS5 is called like a Brook Wingman FGC2. The most common one, go ahead, sorry.
And those basically like take various inputs and they're able to convert them into something that computers or consoles can use as input, right?
Correct. They look like little flash drives.
Okay.
One end plugs into the USB port on the console, and then there's another USB port on the side, or on the other side, where you would plug in the Xbox Adaptive Controller or whatever other device you're trying to convert. And then essentially what it does is it tricks the console or whatever you're using into thinking that it's the controller for that specific console.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I would imagine that the fact that controllers are fairly standardized now probably makes that a lot easier. In between, like, hey, everything has 4 face buttons, 2 joysticks, usually a D-pad, and some shoulder buttons, but every single controller has that unless you want to play weird retro games.
Right. Yeah, it's always interesting when I do a presentation and I'm like, hey, the Xbox controller and the PlayStation controller and the Joy-Cons when they're together are essentially the same layout.
Yeah.
Like you said, 4 shoulder buttons, 4 of the X, Y, A, B buttons, 2 joysticks and a D-pad. Start, menu buttons, power buttons are all there. They're just labeled differently and on a different looking controller for the most part. But yeah, that does help a lot for sure.
Yeah. And also, a lot of games play similarly. Like, every first-person or third-person shooter nowadays has exactly the exact same control layout. Right. Left trigger to aim, right trigger to shoot, A button to jump, X to interact, Y to reload sometimes. You know, right stick look, left stick move.
Exactly. And those first-person shooters are kind of the trickiest ones for us to figure out, just depending on the person we're working with. But yeah, essentially, you said it. Like, you almost have to have one finger here, and both your thumbs on both joysticks the entire time you're playing a first-person shooter game. And then you think about folks that use adaptive equipment. If both of their hands are sitting on top of 2 adaptive joysticks, they got to take their hands off to aim and shoot.
Yeah.
So one thing that's been worked on by a lot of folks in the last couple of years is having a little tab down here. If somebody's got some wrist flexion on these goalpost joysticks is what the majority of people call them, they're able to flex their wrist, aim, flex their wrist here, shoot, while still having their hands on the joysticks. Now they may have to take them off or use the side of their head for like a grenade throw or like a jump or something if they don't want to remove their hands from it at all. But yeah, first-person shooters have kind of been the most challenging ones.
Understandably, they are very play-intensive experiences.
Exactly.
As opposed to something like League of Legends, where you have to have... It's mostly like pointing, clicking, and then hitting your number keys, as you know, which you can use with you have a really... You can play it one-handed if you just have a really good gaming mouse, theoretically.
Right. Yeah. Totally. League of Legends. Jordan, our director, he would play League of Legends with you if you wanted to. I stepped away from League a long time ago.
I have not played since high school. I know with who I am and the life that I live, I need to step away like sometimes every 20 minutes, and you can't do that with League.
Right.
The matches are too long.
Right. Totally. I need to step away just because I get so furious.
Me as well. I play the finals, which if you want to think about first-person shooters that require you to use like 100% of your brain, that is one of them.
I've heard good things. I haven't played it. I've been stuck on Arc Raiders for...
Same developers.
Yeah, I
so
know that. I just
they're
haven't touched
very
it.
good.
Yeah. Okay.
But I would recommend the finals, just broadly, because it's free. Yep. What do you have to lose? And also, with fully destructible environments, you know, there's always a lot of chaos going on, but in like a good way. But now that I'm done sounding like a shill for the finals, how do you determine individual needs, like, per case?
We meet virtually with the player. So we kind of have like a basic set of questions that we would need to ask. And then it's always helpful, like I said, if they have an OT or somebody there on the meeting with them that can kind of speak to how their body works and, you know...
OT is occupational therapist, right?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Or overtime, if we're looking at sports. But yes, they have like kind of a better idea of how the body works. I mean, obviously the person is going to be able to tell us how their body works and like what they think might work best for gaming. But the OT that's working with them can tell us like, hey, we could see some progress in these fingers moving a month or so from now, or hey, we might see their condition become worse in a couple of months from now. But really the main questions we ask are, what part of your body moves the best? Are you playing games right now? If you are, what kind of controller are you using? And how long can you use it until you're feeling tired or feel any pain or anything like that? What games do you want to play? What genres? Most of the time when you're meeting with younger kids, it's Roblox and Fortnite. And then when you're working with older individuals, it's usually GTA, sports games, Call of Duty, Arc Raiders now that's getting really popular. So we need to figure out what games they want to play because we need to know what buttons they're going to press. So like if you're playing Fall Guys, it's like 4 or 5 buttons to play Fall Guys. If you're playing Fortnite, you need to be able to hit every single button frontwards and backwards, upside down while doing a backflip, throwing a grenade, driving a car. So like it's on our end, we have to understand the games because we have to be able to recommend what button presses they're going to be using. And then that also kind of ties into the equipment as well, what equipment we're going to be purchasing or sending out to them.
I never considered that you would have to also be subject matter experts in games themselves, so that way you can say, hey, cool, well, I know how this game plays, and you don't really need to press in on the right thumbstick to jump. We're just going to have that set to auto or something.
Right, yeah. And then you also
no self-respecting game developer is going to put right thumbstick in to jump, but you know what I mean.
I would hope not. But yeah, I think it's a lot more than just understanding the equipment. It's understanding the games. It's understanding disability, and it's understanding like people and recognizing that everybody's different. We can approach every meeting the same way, but it's not going to end the same way as every meeting does because you're speaking with a person, and that person's going to be wildly different than the last person you met, and they're going to be wildly different from the next person you meet. So I think we take a lot of pride, especially on my team, with our one-on-one, like individualized support. We take a lot of pride in working with our partners from all over the country too, because we couldn't reach as many players or gamers as we do without them, so we're super grateful for them. But yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of people probably don't know that these kind of things are available.
Right. Yeah. I had no idea any of this stuff was available until I started working here 2.5 years ago. I've been gaming since I was 4 years old. I'm 33 now, so if you want to do some math, go for it. I'm not going to say it out loud. But also I've been working with people with disabilities for over 10 years now. And I just had no idea that, Xbox had their XAC or that there was a quad stick available for people with disabilities. I've never seen anybody use one. I've never seen one advertised. My first month working for AbleGamers was literally playing video games with the adaptive equipment so that I understood how it worked. So that first month was a lot of fun, and it's just gotten even more fun since then. So,
yeah, I know that there are alternate control schemes just available broadly, even to non-disabled gamers. For example, we've mentioned the gaming mouse, which can have all your hotkeys where your thumb is. Some people like playing flight simulators with the 2 joysticks, with all of that going on. I know that there are people who play driving games with their custom wheel and 3 pedals on the ground. They get the whole thing set up. So it makes sense that they would have the same sort of thing for disabled gamers. But have you ever had to design peripherals for people who like stuff like flight sims or stuff that has a more different control scheme?
Yeah, it really just depends on the person. I think a good example of maybe a flight stick would be the BioWave Proteus controller. Have you seen one of those?
I have not. I will look it up.
I've got one sitting right here if you want.
Oh, let's show it off.
Yeah. This is from BioWave, which is an Irish company out in Ireland, of course. I was going to say out somewhere. I don't know where I was going to go with that. But essentially it comes with all of these pieces inside of here, and I can kind of open it up. The box does a little plop open.
It's nifty.
It's very, very cool. All of your pieces are here in 3 different layers here. And
it looks like you can sort of mix and match them to make a control scheme that works for you.
It's BYOC, build your own controller. What I was going to show you in a comparison to a flight stick would be the build that they have right here. on the back. You can use that with one hand, and you've got like a 3D printed little rubber piece here that will stick to a desk or something. So somebody could literally sit here and use that. And depending on where they put the buttons, it's just where they're comfortable with hitting the buttons. But
I had no idea that modular controllers like that even existed.
Yes.
But that's very cool that it does.
Yes, that's one of my favorite controllers. I met them. Oh man, where was I? I believe I was in Seattle for my first PAX. My coworker Vinny was like, "I need to introduce you to these people." I'm like, "Sweet." They introduced me. I was like, "How do I get one of those?" They're like, "We'll send you one." They sent me one. It's a beautiful controller. I'll just sit here.
It's also well designed, and you would
Yes.
think something like that's designed for, to be modular could look worse. Although there is a little bit of a part of me that wishes it had like the clear purple plastic so you could see through and see all the mechanisms, but that's just me being me.
That's just you wishing you still had a Nintendo 64 controller, right?
I mean, there was a time. I never actually owned an N64, but I grew up with a lot of like, oh hey, cool, you can get the normal controller, or you can get the one that's like game freaky.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
you could get the ones that looked cool. And now it's harder to get those.
Yeah, and they are way more expensive too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that's another thing with like the equipment that we send out to these individuals. We purchase it for them outright, or we donate it, or somebody else has donated something to us, and then we're able to donate it because this stuff's expensive. Like, we were just talking about a controller. Imagine having to purchase like a new console, and then on top of that, all the adaptive equipment to go with it. So we don't actually purchase the consoles, but we'll purchase the adaptive equipment. Make sure they're all set up. We just ask that they complete a grant application. Really all that is like answering 5 questions and providing a picture of themselves. And the questions are, how'd you hear about AbleGamers? Why is AbleGamers, or why is gaming important to you?
Mm-hmm.
What are the games you like? What are you excited for? And say thank you to our donors, and that's it.
Yeah.
Because we're totally donor funded. Grants have been hard to come by in the last year or so, but we would take grants too if we can get some. But yeah, our players don't pay for anything, so I think that's really cool too.
So can you give me just a few success stories? If you have any on top of your head, just to give us some examples of, all right, hey, cool, we helped blah, blah, blah with blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And now they can do backflips in Fortnite.
Yeah,
They might have added backflips in Fortnite now. They've added so much.
Oh, I haven't touched Fortnite in so long. I wouldn't be surprised if you can't do full-on gymnastics in Fortnite now. But yeah, there's so many. And it's hard for me to pick one. I'll talk about one of my first tickets ever. I'll just say his name is Rudy, because that's kind of his streaming name, Rudy.
Makes sense. I'm still listening. I just need to step away 1 moment.
Sure. So he was like one of the first tickets I worked on when they kind of let me start jumping into our ticketing system. And he's from Florida. And he really, really, really wanted to continue using his hand as much as he could. So he and I came up with this idea. We have these joysticks that he can rest his palms on. He can easily slide that hand over and hit a few buttons this way. He's got a couple button presses here. He's got a couple down by his chin. He's able to move and beat different games. Originally, I wanted him to go with a quad stick, but again, he said no, like I want to keep using my hands. I'm like, okay, that's fine, man. We're going to go with what you're comfortable with, because it's your controller. It's not my controller. Eventually, he ended up getting the quad stick because he reached out and he was like, I should have just listened to you. I'm like, no, man, it's okay. Like, you wanted to try to keep using your body as much as possible, and I respect that. So I'm always going to respect that. But I'm going to make suggestions. But again, it's your controller. But he ended up getting the quad stick. He's streaming. He'll hit me up every once in a while. He's like, I just beat this game that I never thought I was going to be able to beat. I think the first one was Star Wars. Man, which one was it? Jedi Survivor, maybe?
Probably that one. It's
Yeah.
Souls-like and has a lot of movement, from what I remember.
And then I just saw him streaming the other day, and he's like, the caption was, I'm able to play my favorite game again. And he's got his quad stick with him. So to me, that's a success in itself. A lot of other success stories you see from like younger kiddos that just want to game with their siblings or their family, and they've never been able to. They always are just kind of sitting on the sidelines, for lack of a better term. But even giving them the option to do like 1 or 2 button presses while playing with a brother or sister, or maybe they're playing Mario Kart and they're steering the car while the brother and sister are hitting the shells, or vice versa. Those to me are really, really cool to see too, because sometimes people will follow up with videos and pictures, and that's anytime somebody's gaming and having a good time, that's a win for me. So yeah, I could talk about it all day, Lawson.
Oh no, God forbid. No, it's important for people to be able to bond with their siblings and stuff. I remember growing up, played a lot of Zoo Tycoon with my brother.
Okay.
Yeah, like the original one where like it was still all pixely graphics.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'd have to use a bunch of cheats and stuff because we didn't quite understand like economics or why people didn't want to spend $200 on a ticket.
Yeah.
But we had a ton of fun with that. And if we weren't able to do that together, it would have sucked.
Yeah. And I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but I'm originally from Indiana. I live in D.C. now. My wife and I moved here like 3 years ago. But that's how I keep in touch with my friends and my brothers back home. It's like, hey, you getting on Arc Raiders at like 9:30 tonight? I'm like, yep, all right, I'll see you then. And then we're on for 3 hours, and we chat, and we catch up, and you don't even realize that you're doing it, you know? You're like, I'm just gaming. But you're also catching up with people that you probably don't get to talk to on a daily basis, which is really, really cool. And
parallel play is important.
Yes.
Yes. Because it's sort of like going to a bar if you don't drink. You're not gonna be moving at the same pace as everyone else. So even if all your friends are in Discord and you are just there hanging out, there is still going to be that space, because I'm often in Discords where I'm playing a game and then there's people playing a different game in the same channel, and they eventually have to leave because they don't want to hear all the crosstalk. And you're not a part of what's going on if you can't play with your friends.
Right. Totally. Back to your Zoo Tycoon thing. I can't remember how I did it, but I'd just take part of the fence down and like the tiger cage and just let him go loose. Or on Roller Coaster Tycoon and get rid of part of the ramp. That's the fun of it. Yeah. My mom would walk in and she'd be like, why are your tigers going after people? I'm like, I don't know. The fence is gone.
I don't know. It just happened, Mom.
Fence. Yeah, the fence just disappeared. I have no idea.
Yeah, I also grew up playing Kirby Air Riders a lot with my brother, which was very fun, and it was a game that we could play together, and those are memories that I look back on, and those are experiences that I think most people should have the opportunity to have.
I agree. Kirby Air Riders on the GameCube?
On the GameCube.
Sweet.
It was very, very fun. I have not played the newest one, but I have heard nothing but good things. I've heard it's basically just the same game, but for the Switch 2, and honestly, I don't think it really needs to be more than that. So
Yeah. There's a lot of games I feel that way about. Super Mario Strikers on the GameCube for me was huge, and then
and they never made a sequel to that, did they?
Yeah.
I did hear they came out with the new Mario Tennis, and apparently that's good.
I used to play, I think I played tennis on, I can't remember if it was 64 or GameCube. It might have been both. Who knows? It would have been both.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
So, what is the hardest part of your job?
Oh, I don't know. That's something I haven't really thought about. I would say, and this doesn't happen very often. It's happened a couple times, but you are working with folks that have disabilities or some kind of condition, and their condition can sometimes be life threatening, and you're trying to come up with a solution to help them game, knowing that time could run out for them while that's for, and that's not really the way I want to word it, but I've had a few folks pass away while I'm mid working with them, trying to figure out a setup for them, and that's always kind of like obviously very sad.
But also you have people with stuff like ALS, and that's a degenerative problem which will get worse over time.
Yes.
And you can't just design a controller that'll help them like now. You have to, like, what about in 6 months or a year?
Right.
If/when it gets worse.
And if we're working with somebody who has a condition or disease like that, if they reach back out, we will open their ticket back up and keep working with them. I actually just had a guy that I'm working with. He was using the Xbox one-handed joystick to play golf, and it was working very well for him. And then he reached back out and he's like, hey, I can no longer hold this joystick. So we had to find a different option for him. We got him a new option. That one's working well for him. And I just told him, man, I was like, you reach out to me when you need me, and we'll just go from there. So it's unfortunate that it is that way, but I'm also happy that we continue to help people even after we've already helped. I think that's something that really kind of drew me into the mission when I first started working here. Is it's not like, hey, here's your stuff, good luck, don't contact us anymore. It's, hey, here's your stuff. If you want to have a virtual meeting to go over how this stuff works, or have me lead you or somebody through how to set this up in your home, we'd love to. Or we can have a second virtual meeting. We can have a third virtual meeting. And hey, I'm going to close your ticket now because you seem to be happy with gaming, but if something comes up in the future and you need us again, don't hesitate to reach out. So again, I feel like that's one thing I really, really love about our mission and our Able Player One program is like, we're not just trying to get as much equipment out as possible. I mean, we are, but we're also taking our time and making sure that hopefully it's going to work for the individual. And then following up with them and making sure it is working for them. And then if something breaks, we'll replace it. Or if plan A doesn't work, we'll go with plan B. So that's something I really, really appreciate about what we do over here too.
Even with a, degenerative disease like ALS, you are helping make people's lives tactically better. Just explicitly, their lives are better because they can still game, they can still be a part of all those friendships and communities that otherwise they'd be missing out on. Because otherwise, hey, if you can no longer hold a controller, good luck trying to use a standard Xbox controller.
Yeah.
No more Fortnite for you. Sorry.
Yeah.
But the work that you guys do is important.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. Yeah. Like I said, man, I feel truly blessed to be in this role. Never in my life did I think when I got a special education degree that this is where I would be.
I mean, it could be a lot worse.
Yeah, it could. I loved teaching, though. Don't get me wrong. Teaching was awesome. But this job, I mean, it doesn't get much better, to be honest.
Yeah. So you guys go to PAX and such often?
Yes, so we have gone to East and West every year since I got here in 2023. And I believe former colleagues have been going years and years before that as well. But yes, we will be at PAX. Our next event is PAX East, the end of March. We will have some booth space on the floor, and then we will have Rich from the Quad Gods over by the Voodoo Ranger Beer Lounge, and he'll be challenging people with some adaptive equipment, and we'll hopefully be streaming that to our Twitch channel as well. But that'll be at the end of March, yeah.
Makes sense. All right. Well, if people want to support the wonderful work that you guys do, where can they go? What can they do?
Yeah, you can go to ablegamers.org. There is an option to make a donation if you would like to. People, and this is something I need to figure out because we have a ton of people that reach out wanting to volunteer with us. We just don't have a ton of volunteer opportunities right now because, again, we're a small team. Usually when we're going to these conventions, it's the whole team there and everybody is pulling their weight. But yeah, if you just want to go to ablegamers.org, you can donate, you can purchase something from our Shopify. You can just spread the word about Able Gamers, spread the word about our adaptive esports events that are coming up. Watch our adaptive esports events, watch any content we put out. We plan on putting out a lot more content this year. Controller reviews on YouTube. I believe Jordan and my colleague Vinny are going to be starting a podcast soon and bringing on different guests throughout each episode to kind of talk about adaptive gaming. So honestly, right now, the biggest way you can help us is to just spread the word about what we're doing.
Spread the word. Tune in to your Twitch. Tune in to the YouTube because I know you posted success stories and stuff on there.
Yes, it's been a while, but we are trying to revamp it. We went through a little restructuring of the org in 2025, and now 2026 is here, and we're hitting the ground running.
That's all we can ask for.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, with that, listener, thank you so much for watching / listening / tuning in. As always, I guess you can still join the Discord if Discord has not been nuked by now. And there should be a link to the Discord in the show notes. But also, tell your friends, I don't have the money to advertise this show to anyone, so word of mouth is all I have. So please tell your friends about the show and tune in next time. Thanks so much for listening.
Thanks for having me.
And